Hey YouTubers, I was just on Demcad's blog TV the other day, and he was saying, "Vention, where have you been?" I went, "Oh man, maybe it has been a while." So I thought I'd bring you up to date, and I'm kind of curious about something about what most YouTubers among us are. As far as like what kind of what are you prepping for, and a lot of people are prepping for like a sudden collapse, like absolutely within like a couple weeks, like off that book Patriots, and then other people are prepping for a gradual decline in living standards and wealth levels and all that. And you know, where gradually people have to start relying on gardens for part of their food and everything. And I'm kind of wondering which way you are going. Are you aiming for or are you planning for a sudden collapse, or something that's a lot more gradual, like we have been experiencing for the last 2 years? Back in 2007, when I started this whole preparation thing, I was like, I was a left-wing liberal Democrat, you know, voted party lines, Democrat all the way. And then, gradually, as I started getting into preparedness, my views have started to like drift, and they're practically libertarian now. It's amazing how much somebody can change in a couple of years. But my original preps were aimed toward a very gradual decline and collapse, and as a result I aimed that way. And I was like, I didn't even own a gun. I didn't, and I was just preparing. Oh, and the reason why I changed my jobs to public transit from like school buses and all that was because I saw this. In a dim way, I saw it coming. So when I really heard about the collapse, like in 2007, I had already moved to public transit. And I gotta tell you, if you're like a young person still in college or starting college, and you have any mechanical ability at all, I would highly recommend being a diesel mechanic, because it is a great job. I mean, it's like not paradise. You do get dirty. If you have, like, for example, I had a coolant hose today, and I was pulling the thing off, and then I doused myself with coolant. You know, got a little bit in my eyes, but I mean, eventually you just sort of shake it off. You wipe it out of your eyes and just keep working. You get hurt in this line of work if you're not careful, and even if you are careful, and eventually you start getting bored with pain. Do you know the "I am hurt" dance that a lot of people do? Like, oh, ooh, ah, ah. We don't do that anymore unless we're really hurt. For example, nowadays when I hurt myself, I just sort of sigh. And I just keep working, because I know the pain isn't going to get any better by saying, "Oh, I'm so hurt." So basically, I moved into a very depression-resistant career. Now, yes, it's a publicly owned thing, the transit agency, but I'm thinking, in fact, I was thinking even when I applied, that yes, the municipalities are very likely to cut way back and possibly collapse, and maybe they won't even have any money to fund these operations. And if that's the case, these buses will either be parked for a month or so, or probably less, and then some kind of private agency will probably take up where the city or the county left off. And if that's the case, they will, I can't imagine those buses not rolling and carrying people around. And if they move, if those buses go, then they're going to need people to fix them. So that was my reasoning 2 years ago, and it's panning out pretty well. Recently, the transit agency I work for stopped buying new buses, and they put a bunch of buses that they were ordering on hold, and we might be fixing the older buses, like doing a whole big huge overhaul on an entire bus. Probably cost about $30,000, but then we'd have a new old bus practically. So I'm hoping we do that. That would be a lot better thing to do. Plus, the money wouldn't immediately just be shipped off to Canada where they make half of these buses. Instead, it would be recirculated in the local economy, and then the county and the cities and everything would be able to pull some of that tax revenue back in after having put the money out. It's much more sensible, if you ask me. But basically, I was preparing and mostly still prepare for a more gradual collapse. Now, yes, I bought that big diesel pickup with the Cummins engine in it that's like EMP proof, yes. And yes, I have bug out locations and all that, and I bought firearms and whatnot, but I'm still aiming for a more gradual collapse. In fact, that's the reason I bought that scooter. It's a 150cc scooter, so you need a license to ride it, you know, a motorcycle license. But basically, 80 miles per gallon. I was just reminded of it because I just filled it up this morning, and I was like on empty after driving to work for 5 days, and I put 1.16 gallons in, and that filled it up to the top, and that cost me $3.27. Now, in the event of an emergency or supply disruption, I always keep my car like either full or half at the minimum, and I could siphon gas out of my car and run that scooter for a couple of months or more. Probably, depending on how full it was, I could get like maybe 4 months of regular commuting in on that scooter. Very efficient. Yeah, I'm just sitting here having some acorn squash from my dad's garden and some whole wheat bread. Good stuff. Jack Spirko on the Survival Podcast was saying, I don't know if it's true, it probably is, that if you take some white flour and put it on the ground next to an anthill and some whole wheat flour, the ants will walk, or they'll walk around the white flour to get to the wheat flour, and then they'll devour the wheat flour and leave the white flour there. And that doesn't surprise me a bit. Oh, there was one more thing. Early this spring, when I was making my deck garden, now I had a major disruption in my deck garden because there was going to be a lot of painting and everything, and I knew that I would have to dismantle the thing, so I didn't really put a lot of effort into it, but I planted a few things. But one thing that really panned out, it was an experiment. I read in a book that's like a free download from the Frugal Squirrels website. It's called Lights Out, and if you haven't read it, that's a real good book. I enjoyed it. I would basically, it's all about an EMP and what everybody did after the EMP, kind of like that book 1 Second After, but even though it's a free download, I liked it better than 1 Second After. But anyway, what I heard was in that novel, they had 3 tomato plants growing like in a sort of a triangle pattern, and they would take their kitchen scraps and throw